So the rest of the day.
Okay, who did it put up there?
We thought it was pretty epic. So I think that was quite inspiring stuff. You definitely set the bar quite high. I have no idea what I'm going to show you guys now to match that. But what I'm going to do is dial it back and take it down to some of the level 1 and level 2 kind of skills that you need in order to get this stuff into your head at a practical level. Because some of the theory stuff, and you can watch Hannes do it here, and I've watched him do it 1,000 times, not 1,000, I've been seminars on each of a few. And it still takes a lot to actually tickle into my head. As he said, I've been following him for 12 odd years, and last year he saw a change in me because thanks to Kevin actually quite a lot as well. Kevin has been mentoring and coaching me for a few years as well, and he's a partner in my business and a partner in property projects as well. And they made me realize some certain things that I was doing wrong in my business, and I had a Skype session with Hannes, and he said, well, what about this and this and this? And he says, yeah, well, if you answer those questions, you know what you have to do. So I had to be really honest with myself and really straight with myself about the situation, and then change it. And changing it was hard. It was not easy, guys. So I had to really respect my partner's situation, respect the business, make sure that I could get out and do what I wanted to do, where I wanted to do it, with who I wanted to do it, without putting those relationships in jeopardy. And Hannes helped me a lot with that, with one Skype phone call for like 15 minutes. So it's really empowering for me to have the ability to spend time with him, so thanks very much, and to do what you do. So to dial it back a little bit is we're going to go and this thing, and actually do some work now. Who feels like some work on a... After all of that, this is where it really starts. Now it's the case of you've got to get real with yourself, and you've got to find that little sheet that says resources. Looks like that. So the exercise is really about getting a snapshot of where you are right now. And you don't need to share it with anybody. If you have a spouse, do it together. And one of the people I worked with earlier this week said, but can't I keep my Sunlum investments out of this? And can't I keep that out of it because I just want to keep it there? And my answer to that was, well, what's it growing at? It's growing at like 7.5%, 8% a year or whatever the case. And I'm like, well, if you've got the skills to be able to grow it at 55 or 65%, isn't your responsibility to grow your money? Do you want the financial freedom or don't you? Yeah? So why are you so attached to that Sunlum investment? If you've got the skill to grow it at a faster pace, why don't you want to put it on the list that you can then leverage it as one of your resources to take it to a higher level? So no, I don't want to cancel it, and I don't want to pay the tax on it, and I don't want to do that, and all the excuses in the world came up on why she wanted to exclude that one little thing. And that's her thing. If she wants to exclude it, she can exclude it. But I think if you're not honest with yourself, then what the hell are you doing? You're just bullshitting yourself. And we're here today to stop that, to stop bullshitting ourselves, and to take responsibility. And in order to do that, you've got to fill in the damn list honestly. And if you are underwater and you are paying debt and all the rest of that stuff, it's okay. What you're doing today is you're taking a step outside that and saying, I'm here on a long weekend, I'm taking the time to learn the skills that I need to learn to make a change. But I need to know where the hell I am today to make that change. So let's be straightforward about that. So what you're going to do is, the top section there is a list of your properties. So you don't need to go into too much detail over here. You get the spreadsheet that I use for this, I'll share on the resources folder when we email it out. So you'll be able to do this online, but it's just going through the exercise now to start getting your head into the right mindset. You want to list your properties, when you bought it, what the current value is at a gut feel. I'm going to show you some tricks on how to actually know what its real market value is, and then what's its intrinsic value and all the rest of that stuff later on today. The outstanding bond, if you have anything on it, if there's any equity, it's the one minus the other. What the bond repayment is at the moment. Any income that you're generating from it, that's the gross income. So that's like, if you're renting it for $7,000, it's the $7,000. It's not the net income. Take off any of the expenses, write those ones down, and then get to your net income for that property, just as a bit of a snapshot. Because what you're going to then do is, if you have properties, I'm going to share a spreadsheet with you guys that you can go and do a full analysis, backdate it. So, for example, if you were doing trading or forex trading or stock trading or whatever, you can go do back testing on that system where you can go back in time and say, okay, if I did this then what would have been the result, because the graph is forward in time up until today as it's happening live. So you're going to go and back test your own property portfolio to come back with the number that it's been growing at. So I'm going to show you how to do that later on today using some of those numbers. Then underneath that is cash, what institution it's in, what's your balance, and what interest rate are you currently getting on it. If you don't know these answers, it's okay. It's just getting a snapshot for today. Any credit cards that you have, any other stuff related to investments, if you've got unit trusts and all the rest of that stuff, make a note of those and what kind of returns you're getting from them. And then employment, like if you're employed in your business or a salary or whatever the case may be, fill that in there as well. And then we're going to go through another exercise later on to start working out your surplus so that you can say, okay, well now I've got a surplus, now we want to grow it, and at what pace do we want to grow it at in order to get you financially free. So I'm going to leave you guys to get started with that now. Yep. All cash that you have available, in savings account, in your wallet, under your bed, in your car seats because your kids are riding it, whatever cash that you've got. Yeah. So that's the exercise. I'm going to put some music on. Yeah.
What about properties you live in?
Write it down.
Okay, but
just make the road. If there's zero income, that's it. Then it's just costing you money. Right. Love those ones.
Properties, not just in your personal capacity?
All of them. Don't worry about entities and trusts and all the rest of that stuff now. It's all of your assets so that you can get a snapshot of your situation right now. If you own half a share in it, for example, if it's split, put it at half the value so that it's just a snapshot of your life. Yeah. But I mean, this is an exercise that you need to go through from your own perspective. Linda and I do this kind of overview about once a year. And then as we're doing stuff, we're measuring whether it's taking us forward or backwards. We've actually got a cash flow overview of all of our entities on a Google Doc spreadsheet where she goes and records all the bank statements and says, okay, this is a snapshot for this month. And then next month, snapshot, she actually does it every 2 months. But at least I can go in and see at any one time what the snapshot is of our business, of our current situation from a higher level very, very quickly. So I can see, okay, we've got cash available, we've got money available in access bonds, we've got money available in the US, we've got money available wherever it is. So that if I want to grow it or if opportunities come along, then and they are on my financial freedom growth rate, then I can apply those funds to those things when necessary. So get started with that. I'm going to put some music on, and I'm going to give you guys like 20 minutes to do that. Do you think that's enough? Cool. Is that too much? Too much? 15 minutes? Ricky, you work faster than everybody else, man, especially when I'm doing the work for you. Okay? But you got such a little bit. It's like, okay, naught. Okay, so did everyone complete their little resources list?
yes.
Who felt it was a good experience? Who felt it was a bit harder than, was it too easy, Ricky?
Very short and sweet.
I know some people need a much longer spreadsheet with some of the properties they own and businesses that they own and that type of stuff. But I'll share that spreadsheet with you guys so that you can go do it in depth in the next couple of days. And that's your snapshot of where. And in that is some magic. Because in those resources, now it's a case of, well, how do you take those resources and make them better? So, for example, I've spent some time with Hannes Dreyer, and they've got a property portfolio already, and in it, when they analyze it, they realize, hey, we can up the rentals a little bit on these units, we can refinance here on this, we can change that, we can get money access from here. So in their existing situation, they could now start making things better before they even bought something else. So that is a very, very powerful exercise to go through, because in there is a little bit of magic. So the next thing we're going to do, well, let's just stop there, is try and develop some goals, get an idea of what the money value of those goals is. And as Hannes mentioned earlier, I think my goals are often experience related. So instead of buying an Aston Martin, I really love Aston Martin as a brand. I realized I don't actually need one. I actually got really pissed off. I went to go buy one. This is a story. So there was an advert for one. It had no, 8,000 kilometers on the clock. It was going for a ridiculously good price. It had a 2-year warranty from Aston, and I'd been waiting to buy one, and the money was in the bank, and it didn't cost me anything. And I phoned the lady at Aston. I'm like, I'm coming now. I'm on my way. It takes 45 minutes to drive from Four Ways to Santon, even though it's like 10 k's because of traffic and whatever. And that's why I hate traffic, because it cost me an Aston Martin. Get there, she's like, no, I sold it. I'm like, what do you mean you sold it? I'm like, where is the thing? She's like, no, somebody else transferred the money and it's gone. So I left and said, well, stuff that, I'm buying a car on my way home, and then I bought a Mercedes. But it was a beautiful car, and it was a lot cheaper than the Aston. But one of the things that I realized is I didn't really want the Aston Martin. Like, I've got enough cars and enough stuff. I wanted an experience of driving an Aston Martin around Nürburgring. That's it. I wanted to slide around the corner in somebody else's car with insurance in Europe and have some fun with it. And in terms of a goal, like if I've got to say, well, now I need another garage at my house for another car, I need to build that, that's 100,000 Rand. I need 5 million Rand to buy the damn car. I need so much more money versus the experiences. Well, I hire an Aston Martin, maybe it's 40,000 Rand a day. Accommodation, flights, call it 200 Rand, and I've had an incredible experience, exactly what I want, and taking some cool Facebook photos so that everybody can see I was driving an Aston Martin. But actually, I just love those types of experiences. And if I design that, suddenly, if I can create the income to give me that 200 Rand, it's much more achievable than the 5 or 6 million Rand I needed to go and own that damn thing. And ownership, with that ownership comes the responsibility. I've got to look after it. It's going to depreciate. I'm losing money, and it's irritating me because I'm not driving it often enough because I've got 2 kids, and 2 seats doesn't quite work with 2 kids and a wife when you want to do stuff, you know. So it's owning it was work, and I didn't feel like that work. But the experience is what I want, and I'm going to have that experience next year with a friend of mine. So he actually lives in London. So we're going to go watch the MotoGP and go do some racing around Nürburgring on motorcycles and supercars.
At least we've got Cobras to go.
We've got Cobras.
Chapman's Peak Drive.
Exactly. Did we get there?
Yeah.
So guys, just to give you an example of what just happened, Kelly just told me now, he started a Facebook page called Cape Town is Awesome. He's wearing the crew thing over there. Got the users up to 62,000, 65,000, 67,000 followers on Cape Town is Awesome, and now we're starting a media company related to that because we have an audience that loves Cape Town, and we're going to sell them stuff related to Cape Town. And somebody that hires out AC Cobras, I've got Aston Martin in the brain now, they wanted some marketing exposure and stuff, and they said, well, they'll give us a couple of AC Cobras to drive around for a day or two. I don't know how long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. I get to drive an AC Cobra that I don't own around Cape Town for a couple of days and just give the guys some love on our Facebook page.
So you're getting an
For free.
experience for a post.
I'm getting the experience for a post. This is the type of stuff you can do if you put yourself in an abundance mindset to be able to get there. And we've got so much free stuff there. We've got free tickets to FanCon, which is happening now. Free tickets to comedy shows. We've got, I don't know, we had free gaming sessions at the virtual game. We got Tim Swallow a whole day with breakfast and all sorts of stuff that we did there for them. We got so much free stuff out of that thing already. And the next step is going to be monetizing it. And we've already earmarked certain clients that could benefit from it. One of them is AC Cobra, the other one is Porsche, because I had to buy 2 new tires for my car, and they charged me 10 grand. I said, I'm getting my money back from you, Oaks, within 30 days. I'm done buying tires from you guys. So I got the marketing people's details, and all I'm going to do is show them lots of love and give them lots of business, and they're going to give me some money. So the goals thing, the way I do it is I design an experience, I give it a money value, and then I go out and figure out how I'm going to make that money to achieve that experience. And I'll tell you another story that was very, very powerful for me is my best mate that I grew up with. He was my best man at my wedding and all this stuff. He bought a dirt bike, and I always wanted to do some dirt biking. And I said, okay, well, I want to spend some time with him. He lives in Joburg. I want to spend. My wife is also good friends with his wife. So I said, why don't we just book a holiday for his birthday? So I phoned him up and said, can you take leave over that period? Cool. Okay, I said, I'm buying a holiday for you and your family, so you can't give me any excuses. You have to come, and we're going to go ride dirt bikes in the mountains of Swaziland. And he was like, okay, but you don't have a dirt bike. I'm like, don't worry about that. I've set the intent. I know what I want to achieve. I just want the experience out of that particular time. And 1 week before we had to leave, I'm like, I don't know where they're from. What's going on over here? Now I need to find one and buy it and make sure I've made the money beforehand, because we've also got some rules in the family that, you know, I can't just go willy-nilly spend, you know, thousands and thousands of rands without a specific intent. So I worked out how to get the money for free, got the money, bought the bike, and it was on the trailer the day before we left. So if the intent is there, the date was specific, I'd already booked it, they were going, so I was either riding pillion with Terence, which is no fun if anybody's ridden pillion with anybody else. It's especially two guys hugging. Doesn't work for me, maybe other people that works for them in Cape Town, but you know, I didn't want to get that close to my best mate. So I had to buy my own bike, and it just landed at the right time, gave me the experience that I wanted, and then stood in my garage after that experience collecting dust, and I sold it a week ago. So for me, designing goals around experiences is very powerful, but definitely find your own way of doing it. And then in doing that, your why needs to be very, very, very connected to your goals. So why the hell do you want this stuff? If you want a big house, why? If it's status and status feeds you, that's cool. If you need more space for your family, like, if you don't connect it to a why, like Hannes said earlier, you're not going to go through the pain to get it. You're not going to do the work you have to do. You're not going to stay up. You're not going to make sacrifices. You know, you're not going to do what you need to do to get that goal unless you're connecting it to a why that's strong enough. And if it's strong enough, then you'll do whatever it takes. And then convert it to a promise. So a promise, I think, is way more powerful than a goal. A goal is kind of like, yeah, I kind of want that. Maybe it'll be nice to have. But if I've connected it to my why, and I make a promise to myself that I promise myself that I'm going to achieve this because it's going to feed me in this way. It's going to make my social life better, my family life better, my social interactions with my friends and stuff better, my business is going to be better, I'm going to make more money, and my whole life is just going to be generally better if I achieve this. Then all of a sudden I've got a lot more reasons to wake up and do what I need to do on a daily basis to achieve that. And it's when life hits us in the face every day, where you've got to deal with, you know, cars breaking and flat tires and clients phoning and you know, all that type of stuff at random times. You know, that's when you know, when you've got to have that conviction that you have made the right choices and that you are on the right path. And the way to get that conviction is just be very straightforward with yourself on your why. And whatever that is, especially if you've got a spouse, work together on that, because if you guys aren't working together on that type of stuff, if the one's pulling in this direction and the other one's pulling in that direction, it can pull the family apart because one's learning and the one's growing and the other one isn't. And eventually there's a conflict because the one person just simply can't talk to the other person anymore. They're just not on the same level, and if they can't talk to each other anymore, then the relationship's going to die. So you've got to spend time working on this stuff with your partner. Kevin does it quite often where I get a phone call and Kevin says, Damson's on the line, and I'm like, oh, what did I do now? And then, you know, he engages Tamsin when there's very big decisions to be made in our business.
Who's Tamsin? No one else.
Kevin's wife. Because when there's big decisions to be made in his life, his partner needs to be aware of them. And he brings her into it to help make that decision so that they're both still aligned and both on the same path. It's incredibly powerful. I dragged my wife to one of Hannes' seminars and another seminar later on. Told her to take a leave day. She was petrified of her boss. As an engineer, she was in a male-dominant workforce, and she was a female engineer and not getting paid a lot of money or anything like that. She was just getting started on her career. And I said, you need to be at this thing, because I can't, when I go home and I try and teach her what I just learned in that day, it gets gobbled. Who's experienced that day before? Yeah? Yeah. So I try and bring her with to this type of stuff, so at least then she's got an idea of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So I think it's really powerful that a lot of the spouses are here with each other. The couples are here today. I think that's fantastic. Yes.
My marriage, when I was still married, I outgrew my partner because of the things I was involved in, and someone once said to me that you stopped living in my shadow. That was a matter of choice. It's not that I didn't involve him or didn't stalk him, but he wasn't willing to.
He wasn't willing to learn and grow. And now you're not with him anymore, right?
No, after 26.5 years, it's just crashed.
It's logical, you know. So if one person's growing and the other one's staying the same, and it happens in partnerships as well. If one person's growing and the other one's not, then eventually the partnership fizzles out. And you know, not that I'm a relationship expert or anything like that, but the husband and wife thing is the most important partnership you can ever make. And if you're not supporting each other and learning, and at least on a certain knowledge level. So, for example, I see a lot of families where they split the financial stuff, and the wife has this and the husband has that, and the wife doesn't know what the hell's going on here, or whatever the case may be. That for me is like really, really, really scary, because if I die for whatever reason, I need to make sure that Linda's perfectly capable to carry on at the drop of a hat, right there and then. The only change is that I'm not there, and she's perfectly capable to carry on with the property portfolios and the business and all the rest of that stuff, because she's got the same skills that I've got. And she's knowledgeable enough that if whatever she's short on, she can learn very quickly to take it up to speed, where she doesn't have to suddenly go and sell assets to, be in a better financial situation because I disappeared off the plan. She's got access to all my bank accounts, all her bank accounts, all the business bank accounts, because she must have. Yeah, but it's important because, how many families go through incredible pain. You saw this with selling life insurance policies, is when that money disappears because the husband was the provider and didn't share anything with the wife, that wife's in deep, deep, deep cock. She's got no money, no support system, no husband anymore, and doesn't know what to do. So I think it's really, really powerful that there's so many couples here today. So well done. Yeah, so what do I do with my little thing? On this goals page, there should be a goals page there somewhere. Goal setting. We're going to do a quick exercise on that. We're also going to go about 15 minutes. I want you to write down just 5. You can go do a whole list later on, but just 5 major goals, and then give them a desirability rating out of 10. Like, how badly do you want it?
Is there a time frame related to that? For the next year, next week?
I like 5 years and 1 year. So I like those 2 things, but it's really up to you. If you want to achieve a specific thing in 90 days, put that down.
Yeah.
And then the difficulty ratio. So how hard is it going to be for you to be able to do it? And what's key here is the difficulty ratio. If it's hard to do for you at this point in time, the question you need to ask yourself is, who do you need to become and what do you need to learn to make it easy? So how can you shortcut that thing so that the difficulty ratio comes down really fast and you can achieve that goal like that? And then that financial number related to that goal. And once you've done that, summarize that. So Hannes has got a very powerful process that he uses to create a power goal. Remember what I said to you, I'm going to give you the 20% to get you 80% results. If you want 95, 98% of the results, go do Hannes's power morphing stuff. I highly recommend it. It'll take you through a very detailed process to go and out all your goals, get the ratios right, instill it into your actual subconscious so that you're working from a base where you don't actually need to think about it, it's happening automatically. But for today's purposes, what I want you to do is convert those 5 goals into a paragraph that sums it up and that's worded in the shape of a promise to yourself. And that's it. 15 minutes. Go. Any questions?
What's the financial number, sorry?
The financial number related to what do you need to make in order to achieve that goal. And it can be either a capital number, so I need to make R1 million to buy a boat. Or it can be a income number, like actually, if I wanted to, I could buy a property that's paying me 4,000 Rand a month and the boat repayment is 4,000 Rand a month. So now the leverage that I need to do is just buy the property that gives me 4 grand a month, and then I can buy the boat with finance without it costing me anything because I bought the property. So that financial number can be how much does it cost to actually buy the thing or get it or whatever the case may be, or it can be the income number you need to get it. I prefer the income number because generally it's lower and it's easier for me to achieve the income. So I like to hack my brain. One of the reasons I like doing so much stuff in dollars is a dollar is 1/13 of a rand. So, or the rand is 1/13 of a dollar. So in terms of like, if I'm aiming for 100,000 of anything, I'd rather aim for $100,000 than 100,000 rand. Because then I'm, in my brain, I'm just tricking myself like 100,000 is a small number. Please, how hard can it be? And then I'll make 13x the result because I'm living in rands. So that financial number, just do a little exercise on that, and then summarize it in a promise to yourself by a specific date. So the promise is, I will achieve this by this date because, and that because is going to be your why. Yeah.
Financial goals? Can it be across any of the 7 areas? Like
It's your choice. You writing your life, dude. It's not for me to choose. What do you want, Ricky?
I've got it already. That's why I'm just checking with it. Copy and paste it, or if it's just.
I find that the moment that you start looking at the relationships and stuff like that, it's very, unless you understand the process, it is difficult to quantify, right? So I normally start my students with the financial stuff because that is easy. You can see it. There's a deadline.
Yeah.
Once you understand that, and because you understand, you can bring it back to the other 7 areas of life. So normally for exercise like this, I would go for the financial. It's not to say because you can apply on all 7 areas, but it's just easier to follow the process on the financial side.
And I think in the spirit of what today is about, focus on the financial first, so that we can get that one ticked off, and then you can focus on the others on your own future.
Because the principle and the process is going to stay exactly irrespective of what area you're going to work on. The process, once you understand the process, is the system.
Yeah.
The rest is exactly the same.
And there's a great book by a guy by the name of Josh Waitson. So he was actually a chess champion, and they based a movie called Finding Bobby Fischer on it, because Bobby Fischer was also a chess champion. But this Josh guy became a grandmaster of chess at like 14 years old, super genius in that space. It really did well, and then started feeling like, what's his purpose on this planet at 18 years old when he'd achieved super high levels in fame within that niche. He started feeling unfulfilled. And he said, so he went and traveled around Russia and Europe where nobody knew him, so he could go learn from some Russian grandmasters. And then when he came back, he actually dropped chess completely in the US and said, I'm not playing chess anymore. And he said, well, he's going to go learn Taekwondo. And as he started learning a martial art, he started realizing some of the stuff that he'd figured out in chess was transferring to martial arts. And then he said, well, if that's possible, where else can I transfer skills? Like, what are the fundamentals that I'm using over here that really help me understand what I'm going through here in chess and martial arts? And then he realized his skill is actually learning. It's not chess and it's not martial arts. Because he can dissect something, break it up into its incremental pieces, and analyze his own performance from a third-party objective perspective, he's able to say, okay, I'm doing this wrong, I'm doing this wrong, I'm doing this wrong. So much so that he would videotape himself fighting with somebody, and then he realized every time he blinked, the guy would hit him. So the guy could see, as he was closing his eyes, that was his time to step in. And he said, well, if that's true, I'm going to wait for somebody else to blink and then I'm going to hit them. Because suddenly the guy's not expecting it, and if he can be quick enough, he can get in that gap. And that was transferable back to chess. So he could start reading a person saying, as soon as they start adjusting their facial expression, and that he could see when the guy's getting tired, when he's losing mental focus, and then he could make a move when the guy was mentally unfocused, that he wouldn't see what the next move would be, and he'd kill the opponent. So he could transfer skills from Taekwondo to chess, and back from chess to Taekwondo. And that's what Hannes is doing over here. He's saying if you can just do this on the financial level, you'll be able to transfer it across all your other goals and whatever you want to achieve in life. So let's do that. I think 10 to 15 minutes. So this is where you want to be.
Can I perhaps add something? Who's on the 91 Perfect Day Challenge? Is there anyone that has got access to the 91 Day Challenge? On the road? How do you find that? Do you think it's worth your while?
Definitely.
Okay. What if Brendon, we get into the whole group?
Are you okay with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not? It's only 3,900. I've already got more than that for today. So, is it? Who wants it?
Yes.
Okay, if you want it, it's going to add on this, so this exercise is going to form the basis. And then as soon as you get the 91 days, I'm going to go a little bit more into what is a power goal, what is a goal, what is a 91 day, how to set it, as well as ways to ease you up in order to get it. Because when I was a financial planner, my life went like a yo-yo. You know, you prospect, and then you get a lot of clients, but you don't make money. And then you start making money, and then you've got no clients. And I wanted to find a way to smooth out those actions, and that's what I captured in the 91 Perfect Day Challenge in the beginning. Once you're done with that, it literally is going to take you like 10 to 15 minutes maximum per day, not only to listen to the mental exercise, but also to do the physical exercise. Only 3 questions. What is it that I've done today? What is it that I've learned today? And what problems do I have? And how can I use this to take you to the next level or learn the new skills? Will that be okay with you? Yeah. So if you say it's okay, I'm going to ask Brendon. He'll send me the list, and I'll invite you to subscribe, and I'm going to give that to you. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I can try this. You said these goals should be power goals.
No, not right now for this. Hannes is going to take you through that to create the power goal of all of this stuff in future. So I just want to focus a little bit on the financial stuff, why you want it, how hard it's going to be, and what that number is, and then make that a promise to yourself for today. So this is just a quick exercise. So this is the 20% to get 80% of the results. If you want more, do the 91-day challenge, and that's going to take you to the next level. Remember, I'm giving you the starting point right now. Yeah. Okay, and then just while you guys are busy with that, everybody that gets to sit at the table with Hannes and myself and Kevin is Carlos, Scully, Sean, Mike Walsh, and partner. Your wife's looking after the kids. Yeah, so Nada and Hans, Savannah, and William. Cool. Now you're on the spot. Everybody that told me they didn't want to be there. 2 more minutes or all done? Okay, lekker. Who's willing to share their promise? Now you're on the spot, eh? Anybody? Kali, thank you.
By 2020, I will be a world citizen living in the US for 6 months a year and in Canada for the other 6 months a year with the ability to go wherever I want, whenever I want, and not be tied to anything.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So there's I'm going to get some, yeah. What happened to Cape Town is awesome. It's going to be an automated
It can be awesome while I'm traveling the world and it's paying for it. Then it's even more awesome.
So thank you very much, Kali. One of the best questions I ever saw from, I think it was Peter Thiel, one of the technology guys that I follow, and he asked, well, what can you do to make your 5-year plan happen in 6 months? What can you do to make your 10-year plan happen in 1 year? So that kind of question starts making you think, my 5-year plan, like, is it big enough to warrant me actually doing this? Is it not big enough? How do I make it? How do you question what you're actually writing down so that you can know whether it's achievable or not achievable, really, whether you really want it or you don't really want it, or how you can hack your resources to be able to get it in a much shorter amount of time possible. So I think it's a great question. So well done everybody for doing that, and I need one more person to read us their promise. I think that's quite lekker, it was inspiring. Thanks.
I promise to live a life of abundance with the ability to change and impact the lives of others positively.
Thanks, Ricky. That's cool. What's funny is you already lived that life. So are you successful now or in 5 years' time?
I've got a different financial number to what I have now.
Okay, cool. Next step, we're going to start getting some detail-oriented action stuff to start getting some ideas, converting those ideas to promises, how to find a passion, how to connect that passion to an idea, and start bringing some stuff out at the gritty level to create a business or a product that you want to sell. So this is a cool exercise that we're going to do in a couple of minutes.
So there was a wonderful article by Stephen Kotler published in Forbes about how to find your passion. It's a question we ask ourselves every single day. We've all been told that a life of passion is a life that means something, but how do we identify our passions? It's not always easy. So one of the things that Stephen Kotler breaks down is that he says that passion essentially exists in the intersection between multiple things that you're curious about. So he says the first thing you should do if you want to identify your passion is to make a list of all the things that you're curious about, all the things that you wonder about. Be as specific as you can. And then create kind of a Venn diagram and try to figure out where the things that you're curious about, 3 or more, intersect. And that's the sweet spot. That's where there is energy. That's where there is dopamine and neurobiology. Multiple streams of curiosity intersect at a space called passion, right? And then once you've identified your passion, then you can figure out how to turn that passion into a purpose. To turn that passion into a purpose, make a list of 15 things in the world, 15 challenges you'd like to see solved. And then figure out which one of those challenges can be served by your passion. So then you see, curiosity leads to passion. Multiple streams of curiosity leads to passion. Identifying problems in the world that can be served by your passion leads to purpose. And then, my friends, you've impregnated your life with a sense of significance, with a sense of meaning. And then you can go forth, my brothers. You can go forth. I thought it was a great article. Take note, Stephen Kotler's work, Flow Geno Project, how to find your passion.
So what we're going to do here is start seeing how we can connect some dots. So on this page, where is that passions one? Yeah, so what are you curious about? So I'll give you mine. It's really, really easy. I'm passionate about freedom, property, business, and helping people. Helping people become free. So what did I do? I created a business that's in property that helps people become financially free. So that's my exercise, done. And I also love technology. So the previous company that I was in, we built technology that helped people invest in property in order to become financially free, and we built a business around it. That's it. It's actually not a really hard exercise. So what are you curious about? So let's say, for example, I know some mates of mine that came up here from Neisner is interested in certain sort of gun-related paraphernalia, so holsters and tactical belts and really usable stuff that you can use in an everyday life situation, because what's currently being designed in the market is literally crap. There's nothing designed for women. There's nothing designed that's actually comfortable as a holster. There's nothing designed that is really, really good quality So he bought a press and he's now designing it himself and he's about to get started, Yeah, so he's got a passion for guns and related stuff, wants to help people and create a cool product, and he's serving his own need first. He's designing something for himself because he needs the product, so he knows whether it's going to be good or bad because it's like physically on him. And then he's like, well, this is good, or no, it's actually cock. And everything he's been able to buy internationally and locally has been ridiculously expensive because of import duties and all the rest of that stuff. And yet to create the product and actually manufacture it is not that expensive. So it means he's got a really high probability of success. Why? Because the product is already in the market expensive. And he looked at it, he's like, well, I can make it relatively cheaply by learning some stuff and buying one tiny little machine. There's a gap here that I can fit into to provide a great product for, and if anybody's into that type of stuff, guns and stuff, it's like a religion, guys. Like, these guys really, really, really are passionate about that stuff. And when one person starts acting and helping those people in that community, they just start helping each other by default. So if you're passionate about something, you can't help yourself but do it and research it. So you end up by default going back to being able to do the hard yards because you're passionate about it. So write down a couple of things that you're curious about, and then a challenge or an idea, something that you'd like to see changed in the world, in your world, in your friend's world, in your family's world. Like, what is the problems that they're experiencing right now, and how can you connect that curious thing to that idea? And then what's the first step? So I don't want you guys to go and say, what happens with ideas is we had this great idea, and then people are like, oh man, this is so awesome. Then we start telling my friends and family about it, and then, I went into this earlier, register a PTY Limited and get an accounting bookkeeping system and go buy a car for deliveries and get it branded and do all of this stuff. And they haven't actually, said, well, what is actually the first step in doing a business? Hannes, what is your first step?
Target the market.
Exactly. It's the research. Who's going to buy your stuff? Do they have money? What are their fears? What are they currently experiencing? What are they currently buying? Who's the competition in the market? How's the competition being successful? And oftentimes people are saying, these guys are really dumb because they're doing that. I'm like, well, if they've already built it and are delivering it to clients, there must be something they're doing right. So what can I learn from that competition in order to make my product or service better? And if you can figure that out, oftentimes you can sell exactly the same product and make a lot more money. You can go to Woolworths and buy bread for 25 Rand, or you can go to Checkers and buy bread for 16 Rand or 10 Rand. I don't even know how much bread costs because I don't buy it. None of that. But what's the difference? The difference is a brand, an experience. You feel better status-wise taking home bread from one place versus the other. I don't know. Is it more convenient because Woolworths is on the way home? I don't know. They figured something out because they got a lot of shops and they sell a lot of product for more than a shop down the road sells the same product. You can walk into Builder's Warehouse, turn right and go to the plumbing section and go buy 50 mil tube at 20 Rand a meter or whatever it is, and turn left and go to the pool area and go buy the same 50 mil tube for 5 Rand a meter. I don't know. They just put it in a different section, but the product now warrants a higher price because it's in that section versus this section. So what are they doing differently? And what can you learn from the competition? So that first step is very important. So if you've got your curious list and a problem, and you can connect those two, now what you're doing is you're creating the passion automatically, where you don't need to go and say, I need to feel motivated to go and do this stuff every day, the hard yards to be able to get a result. Because you're curious about something, so I'm reading all the time about technology, about property stuff, about business, because I'm curious about it. I want to see what other people are doing. And oftentimes it's the same lessons coming from a bunch of different places, but it's reminding me each time, okay, this is the way I should be doing stuff, this is the way I should, or this is the way I shouldn't be doing stuff. Because I'm curious about it, I'm like, okay, well, if I find a need that other people have, and I can connect that need to what I'm curious about, and because I'm curious about it, I tend to know a little bit more than most other people. And you don't need to know everything. If you know, let's say 50% of what's possible to know about a subject, and a large population knows only 10% of what's possible to know about that subject, is you can make a lot of money educating them just to get up to that 50%. And then thereafter, if you haven't educated yourself further, thereafter it's their responsibility to go and grow and take it further. but it means that you can actively start looking for an audience right now to teach about just about anything. And if you can teach them, you can create money for nothing, where you don't even need the product. You just need to teach them, get some money out of teaching them, and then use that money to go and create product. So write down the first step, and in that first step, where would you look for it? So if it's research, I want to find out about this target market in this group, and I think I could find them either on a Facebook group niche or a forum or a, so that first step is what would you do there? So let's do that exercise. I think only about 10 minutes, and then we're going to break for lunch. And then on the research side of things, guys, like, it's not hard. Google Alibaba, AliExpress for really quick things on if you want to get a product and you just want to sell it. They've got thousands and thousands of products being made in China at ridiculously cheap prices. You bring it in, find a need, fulfill that person's need, and sell them their product. Oftentimes you can even do drop shipping, where that person sends it to that person and you take the income in the middle just for connecting them. You don't need shipping infrastructure, you don't need offices, you don't need anything like that. So go and research that type of stuff as well and see what's already there. If you've got to create the product from scratch, could you get 80 to 90% of the results from a product that already exists and use that money to create the product that you really want to see in the world? Because now you've validated that the market's there, that they're willing to pay you. And I think crowdfunding here is phenomenal. Some friends of mine that are not here today, Nick and Chris Bishop, they closed down their 3D design company about 2 years ago, and they had a phenomenal business with raving fan clients that loved what they do because they were the best in the world at what they did. And they ran a small little design team doing it, and they did 3D design for architectural firms. They actually did about 90% of the whole of Santon. They did some stuff in Abu Dhabi and Australia and Cape Town. So all those fancy pamphlets that you see of the Discovery building, the Cecil building, the Weber Wenzel building there in Santon, they designed the 3D walkthroughs and videos and stuff for those companies. And they said, you know what we really want to do is design a game. So they went and created a campaign on Kickstarter and said, all we want to do is replace our salary for 1 year in our company. We're going to keep our company and keep it going for 1 year, but we want to replace our salary so that the one brother could step out, and they hired a designer to replace him. And that brother's sole job was to produce that game, and then they could launch it. They raised $165,000. Guys, $165,000. They got 2 million rand, there we go, from a raving fan base that said, we want this to exist in the world, please make it happen, and we don't want any more money, we'll buy it after it exists. We just want to back you because we love you guys. Because Chris had been building it for almost 3 years, he had a demo available, he had some videos, so he'd already proven his capability and said, guys, I need to make this happen in the world, it needs to exist, it's fantastic fun, and I really want to make it happen. And the audience gave him the money to make it happen. He didn't need to pitch a bank, he didn't need to sell his car or do anything like that. He got the money from an audience. And what happened then? They released the game and sold it to that same audience and made a cockload of money, and they closed their business. They told all their clients, bye, see you later, walked out the door. They didn't even sell the business because they knew they were the magic in the business. They just closed it. Gave the computers to their staff and said, here's a computer for you, you go run your own design firm. Here's a computer for you, you go run your own design firm. And they were out. And now they're designing round 2 called Beautiful Desolation. They just raised another $150,000. What was it? 150.
Yeah, 150.
Because they said, you know what, guys, we did it last time. Now they've proven they can do it, proven the sales, loaded another campaign. It was harder to do this time because crowdfunding has taken a bit of a knock with some big, people that didn't perform, but they proved that they did perform. And their audience went, you know what, this is fantastic. There we go, have some more money. Please make it happen. And now they're doing that full time. 2 guys running an amazing business, collecting the income and getting paid to just make their idea happen from their audience. How incredible is that? So this stuff is really, really possible. So guys, do that exercise, and as soon as that's done, we're going to break for lunch. In fact, I think let's break for lunch, and you can actually do the exercise while having lunch and take it a little bit longer. How does that feel?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because then we're going to go into product design and that type of stuff.